Local police are now saying at least one passenger on board the Air India flight survived, incredibly, to stay airborne, then descending, then disappearing behind buildings and bursting into a fireball.
Help! Help! I'm burning! A deafening blast. Lights flicker. Passengers gasp. Suddenly, a scream. Then, silence. Welcome to Ahmedabad, 12th June, 2025. Air India Flight 171, a brand new Boeing 787 Dreamliner, lifts off on a routine flight to London, only to crash into a college hostel just 30 seconds later. 241 people dead. Only one man walked away alive. If you're moved by real survival stories, subscribe and like now, because what you're about to hear is unforgettable. His name was Vishwash Kumar Ramesh, 40 years old, a dual British-Indian citizen. He was seated in 11A, right next to the emergency exit. Beside him sat his older brother Ajay. They had just spent a week visiting their extended family, celebrating their father's 75th birthday. It was a peaceful visit, quiet, joyful, a rare chance to reconnect. And now they were headed home. Just 3 minutes after takeoff, Vishwash would be the only soul breathing, surrounded by a smoldering hellscape of twisted metal and shattered lives. He doesn't remember the impact, only the feeling of falling, fire, and silence. And when he opened his eyes, his world had vanished. At exactly 13:38 Indian Standard Time, Flight 171 taxied down runway 23. Weather was clear, no warnings, no alerts. Inside the cabin, passengers fastened their seatbelts. Flight attendants smiled. A baby cried softly in row 15. But seconds after liftoff, everything changed. Eyewitnesses reported a bright flash from the right engine. A deep mechanical grind echoed across the tarmac. One passenger managed to text, "Something hit us. Engine's making noise. Plane isn't climbing." Flight data shows the Dreamliner barely rose to 625 feet before leveling off unnaturally, veering left and losing power. It was heading directly for the densely packed city below. At 13:39:21, it slammed into the BJ Medical College hostel. Just as students were gathering for lunch, the fireball that followed lit up the sky for miles. The blast shattered windows 2 blocks away. CCTV shows bystanders diving for cover. Inside the hostel, ceiling fans ripped from the roof. Books turned to ash. Furniture blew apart from the force. 75 people, young students, faculty, and staff, were killed in seconds. All 230 passengers and 11 crew members died on impact, except one. Vishwash's seat section, rows 10 to 12, was partially sheared off during descent. It detached just before the cabin exploded. Miraculously, it fell onto a concrete service ramp near a campus utility building. Vishwash was thrown clear, injured but not crushed, alive. He awoke to a world on fire. Blood in his eyes, smoke in his lungs. His left hand blistered, his shirt scorched. He crawled toward the open sky, through what used to be a cabin wall. There was no door, no floor, only ruin. A group of students nearby saw him, barefoot, covered in soot, staggering across a gravel path. "He looked like a ghost," one witness recalled. He kept repeating, "Ajay, Ajay, where are you?" He collapsed near the hostel's southern gate. Volunteers carried him to a truck. There were no ambulances left. At Civil Hospital, he was treated for multiple fractures, second-degree burns, and severe shock. He asked again and again, "Did anyone else make it out?" The doctors didn't have the heart to answer. Firefighters, students, and citizens formed human chains to pull survivors from the hostel ruins. Sniffer dogs found remains beneath collapsed floors. Bodies lay scattered through 4 wings of the building. The black boxes, including the cockpit voice recorder, were found on the 3rd floor of the hostel, scorched but functional. a full international investigation began. Early theories include engine failure mid-takeoff, failure to retract landing gear, hydraulic loss, and possibly a bird strike, though no feathers or remains were confirmed. In the cockpit's final moments, one of the pilots was heard shouting, "We've lost control! Reset! Reset!" Then silence. India's aviation regulator grounded all Boeing 787-8 aircraft pending emergency checks. The world reacted with disbelief. Prime Minister Modi visited the site within 36 hours. This tragedy has left a permanent scar on our nation. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer mourned the citizens lost. King Charles III offered private condolences to the Ramesh family. Protests broke out in London and Mumbai, demanding better maintenance and transparency from Air India. Tata Group pledged compensation and lifetime support to all affected families. Boeing's stock fell nearly 9% in 2 days, but no money, no apology could undo the devastation. Survivors of plane crashes are rare, but a sole survivor? That's almost mythical. Experts believe 3 things saved Vishwash. 1. Seat 11A, adjacent to a structural break in the fuselage. 2. Not wearing his seatbelt, which allowed his body to be thrown instead of trapped. 3. And pure, inexplicable timing, he landed in an open area. Not the fire, not the hostel, but he also carries the weight of survival. His brother AJ, seated just 1 row behind, died instantly. Air India Flight 171 lasted just 30 seconds in the air. 1 man emerged from the wreckage, not as a hero, but as a reminder. A reminder that sometimes fate doesn't choose the strongest or the smartest. It chooses randomly. Vishwash lives today with 241 ghosts. He remembers Ajay's laugh, the way he held his armrest at takeoff, the silence that followed. He doesn't want fame, he wants answers, he wants change, and so should we. If this story moved you, if it made you reflect on life, loss, or the strange lottery of survival, please like, comment, and subscribe. Let's honor the victims. Let's ask the hard questions. And let's remember, even the safest journeys can end in fire. Even the most ordinary moments can become our last. Thank you for watching. Stay safe, stay curious, and never forget the name, Flight 171.